The pandemic is pushing this country into a mental health crisis. You aware of that? I think we all have anecdotal evidence that that is the case. Madness prevails. It's getting to that point. You can see it with these dickless wonders, these big-bellied buffoons with their facial hair and their Confederate flags and their Nazi regalia, dumb fucks, and their American flags as they push to end the isolation, open up the state. What the fuck? I mean, we've always had insane people in the society, and these bastards don't represent much more than a squirrely little minority. But to see that going on at the Michigan State Capitol or wherever these cluckheads go is just, I don't know, it's scary. I think it's a preview of coming attractions. These dumb bastards, these penisless bastards with their huge weapons, they want to kill somebody or something or bunches of somebodies. I wish they would turn their guns on themselves. Just try a little target practice, boys. See how many of each other you can fucking kill. Get it over with. I mean, that's the impression you give. You walk around with your big-ass guns. Hey, shit, man, I'm going to take anything from anybody. I want my Second Amendment. I want my First, and I want... Nobody has ever touched your Second Amendment, you dumb shit. But anyway, I digress. I don't want to talk about these assholes. It's only in the context of the nervous breakdown, the initial stages of a nervous breakdown that this country is entering into. And it's going to get much worse. You might as well prepare yourself. The piece I found in the Washington Post today it talks about this. 3 months we're into this pandemic. And already we're on the verge of another health crisis with these news of these daily doses of death, sickness, isolation, fear. All of it taken together is causing this widespread psychological trauma. And being Americans and being the candy asses that we are, and we are, I mean, I don't give a shit. I know a lot of people in this culture struggle. I'm not talking about the people on the bottom end of this filthy capitalist spectrum. Of course they struggle every day, but the bulk of Americans are a bunch of soft asses who never knew hardship and probably never will. Their parents did maybe, or their grandparents. But it's just like the Pink Floyd song. You know, you've amused yourself to death. Where was I? Federal agencies now and experts in academia, in the medical field, sociologists, they're warning that an historic wave of mental health problems is approaching. And it's going to be a mindfuck. Now, what kind of mental health problems? Depression, substance abuse, alcoholism, I guess that's substance abuse, right? PTSD, suicide, homicide, violence of all sorts. It's coming. Violence is a mental health problem. That's why so many people who are convinced to go kill or be killed for their country's economic system, that's all we've ever fought for in this country, is capitalism. You fucking know that. If you don't know it, there's something wrong with you. I say that advisedly. I don't know if there's anything wrong with you or not, but that's why we fight wars. That's why we had a 75-year-long confrontation with the Soviet Union and then Russia, and we still are having the same kind of confrontation this time with China. They have a form of capitalism that the leaders of this country can only envy. It's a fascistic capitalism, but I digress again. Now, here's the problem we're facing. The initial coronavirus outbreak arrived when hospitals were totally unprepared in this country. Not that they had any warning of what this was going to be, because the leadership in this country is just bat fucking crazy. We don't have leadership. But that leadership vacuum that should have been filled with people who understood what we were facing. And there were plenty of people within the government, the intelligence agencies, the medical community, understood what was coming. But when you have a crazy fucking maniac like Donald Trump at the top of the heap, he's like a great big clot of something in your toilet when you go to flush it, and it just won't go down. So what do you wind up with? Your toilet backing up and feces-soaked water all over the goddamn floor, right? How many times did that happen? Well, that's Trump. Trump is that big ball of feces. So even though there were warnings aplenty going back to goddamn December, November of last year, this clot of human waste, Donald Trump, ignored it. Ignored it. And not only did the son of a bitch ignore it, but anyone who tried to not ignore it, he got rid of. Because it didn't fit with his re-election plan, which I'll get to in a moment. So the coronavirus outbreak caught hospitals unprepared. And now, this country's mental health system, such as it is, totally underfunded, kind of the bastard stepchild of health care in this country, mental health care, mental health system. It's fragmented. It's difficult to access before the pandemic because of insurance horse shit, and it's even less prepared, the mental health system, to handle what's coming. Indeed. Quoting from the New York Times or Washington Post article, a woman named Susan Borgia, who leads the Traumatic Stress Research Program at the National Institute of Mental Health, she said, "That's what is keeping me up at night. I worry about the people the system just won't absorb or won't reach. I worry about the suffering that's going to go untreated on such a large scale." Whoa. Now, the data are showing depression and anxiety are already roiling the country. You like that word, roiling? According to the Post, nearly half of Americans report that this crisis, this pandemic, is, in fact, harming their mental health already, 3 months in already. And that's according to a Kaiser Family Foundation poll. There's also a federal emergency hotline for people in emotional distress, and it registered in April, compared with April of last year, more than a 1,000% increase in texts and calls to that hotline. Roughly 20,000 people texted that hotline. It's run by the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. Last month, I didn't know we had something named Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. Did you? And then there's an online therapy company called Talkspace, and it reported a 65% jump in clients since mid-February. And here we are the first week in May. Text messages and therapy sessions that were transcribed and then collected anonymously by the company Talkspace, according to the Washington Post, show coronavirus-related anxiety dominating the concerns of people who are calling this company for therapy. The co-founder of Talkspace and its CEO, a guy named Oren Frank, I don't know if he's a MD or a psychologist, I have no idea, but he said, quote, "People are really afraid." He said the increased demand for services follows almost exactly the geographic march of this virus across the United States, right? Started, well, you can take your pick here. Either started on one of the coasts. I believe the epicenter was New York, New Jersey, still is. But it's moving across the country. I realize it's already in pandemic proportions on the West Coast, but you understand what he's saying. And he added this, what's shocking, he said, I'm quoting, what's shocking is how little leaders are talking about this. Leaders? What leaders? What leaders, Mr. Frank? What the fuck are you talking about? We don't have leadership in this country. We have Donald Trump and a collection of fucking gangsters, incompetent, idiotic gangsters. That's leadership under Trump. And then you have Trump, of course, a fascist, atheistic pig to begin with. He doesn't believe in shit except, get the money. Get the money! And give me my cheeseburgers. Hey, Truth Seekers, Mike Malloy here. While you're sheltering in place and practicing safe social behavior, probably catching up on the Malloy cast, remember, we have a new weekly program just for our patron supporters. There are other thank you gifts for your support. Remember, visit MikeMalloy.com and click on the big patron link on the main page. You can't miss it, and we can't do without you.